Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the final bell, brought to you by Lake Imaging. As promised, Scotty,
our favourite.
Our favourite.
I think he is.
We've moved on from Reg.
Stoker.
Stokesy, where he's long forgotten that man.
He listens to every word we say.
It's true. James Kelly is here. Hello, Cal.
Hello, friends. How are we? I'm always a little edgy coming here. I'm not sure what's on the rundown.
When did we have him last on? Did we get him the job or was he in the job?
He was in the job, but we
told him.
And he, disappointingly, he blew us both away with how good he spoke and how sensible he seemed, and how he had
James we love.
He had a vision and a philosophy and a great communication way, and it really disappointed me.
The first man to ever podcast his way into a job.
But in all seriousness, James, you've revolutionised this team single-handedly.
This is what I'm worried about. Coming on here. Don't be facetious. No, I'm really enjoying being back here. It's like I was actually reflecting a little bit on the way in and thinking the last time I did do it, we're in here and talking about coming back to coaching and things like that. And if I'm honest, in the back of my mind, I was like, I would really love to come and work at Geelong again. But, it's a few sliding doors moments between now and then. It's worked out well, and I'm loving being back, and it just feels different. You know, coaching at the place where you played, and a place where I essentially grew up as a man. So, yeah, it feels really good.
How are you finding the balance between your communication, no doubt, and to be serious now, with young players? Pluck a name, Ollie Dempsey, or even a Max Holmes, or someone like that. I always knew would be outstanding. But you've also got to communicate, and sometimes probably communicate firmly, with players that you played with, and some of the greatest to ever play for the Cats. How are you finding that balance? The skipper, Tom Hawkins, whoever it might be. How are you finding that?
It's good. Like it's one of those things. I think having a healthy respect for each other helps me. Like I've got some credibility in any discussion I can have with the players, and I think that's probably the main thing. Is it's a discussion. Scotty's really big on coaches. Like we're in a partnership with the players, and it's the same when we were sort of playing together. That things are always on the table with the coaches and with the players. Like if we sort of come up with anything, any sort of strategy and any ideas that we have, we sort of present it to the players, ask them how they feel about it. Do they think it's something they can do? Do they think it's something that's going to work? So that sort of thing works well with sort of how I feel like I like to coach. I like to always think it's, don't forget how hard the game was to play, and it's only getting harder. So I think I'm not finding it too difficult at the moment. But they're pretty easy players to coach. Like it's not like the eggheads. Like you are coaching some really talented, really smart players. Like Joel knows what he's doing. It's just my job to help him do what he's doing. So, and you could say that for 90% of the guys on our list. They're a really easy group to coach.
Can you explain your role? I know Geelong did things a bit different. It's not the traditional back coach, forward coach. How have you made all this work?
It's just everyone having a pretty open mind, I think. It was a little easier for me coming in fresh, but sort of having the mindset that we want to be protective of the team. And I only sort of had this discussion again with Scotty yesterday. We want to be protective of the team, not protective of our areas. So whatever decision we feel like we come to is always prefaced, is this the best thing for the team? And we just sort of go with that, and we just have an open mind about trying things, looking at things, little things like moving Tom Atkins from the back line into the midfield. Their decisions like, well, what do we sort of feel like, where can we get a spike? And we just think maybe if we can have someone else to chop out the boys around the ball, that'll help us, and we kind of just go with that. The only thing I will say, I don't want to sit here and talk like it's always perfectly smooth. It's not, but I think that's a really good thing. Like there's a lot of healthy discussion in coaches' meetings.
And ultimately as coaches, assistant coaches, you're throwing ideas, you're challenging Chris Scott, no doubt, you're pushing different, you mentioned Tom Atkins, maybe this could work in the midfield. I know we're losing a bit down back, but we're going to gain this. Having that robust discussion, then ultimately it's the senior coach's call. Am I right in saying? And then you, as
Not
a group,
anymore, Cameron.
unite and support that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the model. Like we sort of joke a little bit about Scotty being the sheriff, and there's only one sheriff in town. So there's things where we'll
like that.
We'll have the discussion and chat about it, and then even a few times we've said to him, like, you might have to sheriff this one for us, like, because we sort of, as a group, we're kind of like, well, we agree with that aspect of it, but someone doesn't agree with this aspect. It's even little things like Brad Close is a superstar. He's a really good player, and we can talk about him. He's been
Cameron's met him a couple of times now since I've introduced him.
Well, he's nearly one of the players that I've been most surprised is how good he is and how important it is. But like discussions around where's the best place to put him? You know, where can we get the most benefit for him? And is it up the ground? Is it off ball, in between contests, things like that? So discussions like that we have constantly. And if it came up one day that the best way to play Closey was off half back, then we kind of just work through why that will work, not why it won't work. Which is probably a better way to describe how it all goes down.
Yep.
What's it like? The band's back together a bit. Harold's running medical, Matty Egan, Shaggerburn. I mean, how is that for you to come back and with this a lot of your mates, basically?
Well, for selfish reasons, it's great. Like Burnsy and Ego. Like I went to high school with Ego. We lived next door to each other. We walk to school together every day. A lot of people don't really know that about Ego and I. And Burnsy, with Burnsy and him, they're two of my 5 best mates in the world. And
Cameron's outside
working every day.
Well outside that.
Scrapes into the top 250. It's good. Like for selfish reasons, I've got, a couple of good friends working there, and Harry and Mackie as well, who I know really well and respect really highly. So that makes the environment we're in every day really good, which produces good work, I think. We have honest relationships with each other. We're not just sort of slapping each other on the back in there. We're happy to challenge each other and be honest, because there is an underlying level of connection and respect there, I think.
Can I turn your attention to specifics? And this week, now you don't need you to give away any match committee type stuff. No,
we've had the bye, Scott.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
In the first segment of this podcast, I threatened Scotland I was either going to throw him or his stupid hat out the window if he continues this bye talk. But
it's arrogance, isn't it?
We've
you two know all about that.
We've heard from Chris Scott that Paddy Dangerfield will be another week, but you do have potentially a couple of players coming back. Jack Henry, Max Holmes, Asava Radaglia potentially coming back into the group. What's the balance when you're discussing them? As I said, you don't need to tell us right here, right now, this player plays, this one doesn't. But bringing too many back who've had a big spell versus still saying, okay, but that player is so well prepared and so crucial to us, he's just going to bypass the VFL, he's straight into the AFL.
Yeah, well, I think guys like Paddy and Jack and Holmesy and Sav are sort of in that boat, which is what you're sort of saying makes it so difficult. We'll try to have the idea of what's best for the individual player's preparation and resist the temptation to think, we just want those guys back. And I'm not really answering your question because we sort of haven't really answered it either. Yep. We had a big chat about it yesterday. I think you're right in talking about not bringing them all back at once. I think that's wise. But there is a balance of holding them back when you actually want them in the team. I think we talked a little bit about, loads with players and things like that, and how do we get players all feeling good at the end of the year, which is a real priority for every team, not just us. But those conversations are sort of ongoing. I don't really have an answer myself, so I can't really give you one. But it's certainly a challenge, but a welcome challenge.
That's okay. Before you get another one in, Scotty, I did just mention right at the start of this, Sam Simpson, there might have been some good news. Not playing right now, but he's on the mend and improving.
Going well, Simo. Yeah, he's sort of last week he started doing a little bit of intro contact, and he's got a couple of people that are working with him in terms of his awareness and his vision, and he's sort of able to sort of push the limits in that, and spinning and catching the ball and turning and all those sort of little tests that he's sort of. My understanding, he's almost got to retrain his brain a little bit, but he's going really well.
Fantastic.
And super fit, sharp at training. Looking really good, and he's, you see him around the place. His mood and his his happiness around the place is which is the most important thing, is much better than what it was sort of 6 weeks ago, which
fantastic news.
Which is all we want at the end of the day.
We love it. I think Cats fans would have loved, they've always say, oh, we need new faces. Well, you've used 33. And you guys have pushed young kids in. It might be 1 or 2 games, but you've made a clear point to get kids in. And the benefits are here. Like, Stevens, Cooper Stevens, all these guys have had a crack.
Nevitt, Dempsey, Shannon Neal.
Yeah, Shannon Neal.
But just the way you've been able to...
You sort of talk like DK's an older player now, but we sort of pushed him out at the start of the year and just backed him in, and he's paid himself back in spades, really. But, we as a coaching group, we just sort of thought... we don't want to be a club that's saying, well, we're just going to play our young kids and put a line through older players, and we don't want it to be the other way either. So we just sort of have a philosophy of we take the opportunities when they're there. So if there's an opportunity to take Ollie Dempsey to Tassie, then we're just going to take it. And that's sort of, we've been lucky that it's worked out that way. We thought we'd take Mitch Nevitt to GWS. Good opportunity for him, just be a sub. He might play some minutes. He ends up playing a whole game. So I think the important thing, and Scotty's really driven this, is let's not force it, but when the opportunities are there, we sort of have a bit of a responsibility to take them. And the guys, to their credit, have been well prepared and professional and ready to go.
Something tells me that we might see Toby Conway soon too.
Well,
Scotland. We've been very excited to watch him play.
Big Tony Conway.
Good fella.
Yeah, great fella. Tony... I've been joking calling him Tony, but Toby. He's really good. He's a good kid. He's come in here with a really good attitude, as have all the other guys. Attitude to work, get better, just wants to learn. And you can see in him he's got a real desire to play. He's not here to play VFL and, just go through the motions. He's here to impact in the AFL system, and it's good to see.
Scotty tries to claim all these players as soon as they start playing well. Toby Conway and Darren Nick Stevens, he'll be mine when he eventually gets.
You're allowed to have him. He's the one that's not playing.
One more question for him. Kel's got to go. They got match committee. They got work to do.
I've got a couple of minutes.
He's got a couple of minutes. You mentioned Brad Close. Is there anyone else? I don't know. Jeremy Cameron up close. Anyone else that now that you're spending every day with them that's gone? Oh,
Stengel.
Yeah. Tice is. He's a star. He's a really good player and just a ripping kid. Like, really, he's a bit quiet, but really good kid. Closey's probably been
the one
in terms of an overall package.
Yeah.
I watched the Cats from afar a bit, and sort of him and Grind a little bit. I sort of thought, maybe they're just really good runners, and that's why they're in the team. But they're really clever, really important players for us. And Closey. It's probably, I reckon, a bit on the outside, a bit underrated how important he is for our team and how tough he is and how much stuff he does off the ball that is really first class. And, and then there's guys like Joel and Hawk, and they're still doing the exact same stuff that they did when I was playing with them. They're still out at training every day, just punching their ticket every morning, coming in, being professional. And, you could forgive them for not doing that this late in their careers, but...
You played with some of the most phenomenal athletes and footballers ever. Is Jeremy Cameron, does he blow you away with how his phenomenal athleticism?
Yeah, his athleticism's amazing, but I think the most impressive thing I find about Jez is just he's unbelievably smart with his footy, but he's very relaxed. So people might think he doesn't have this really wealth of knowledge and detail in the way he plays his footy, but he really does. And he's just the most relaxed, comfortable person in the change rooms, on the footy field. The goal he kicked the other week from the boundary line, you ask him how he kicked that goal, he can give you a really articulate answer on how to hold the footy, where it hits your foot. When you're running in that direction, you have to kick them this way, otherwise they don't swing back the right way. Yeah. Things like that. He's not just this physical specimen, which he is. He's got a really innate knowledge of the game, which I've found really impressive. He's not just a genetic freak who's better than everyone. He is better than everyone, by the way.
At last, we had Max Holmes in here. You've cloned it. How much do people stop you and go?
He's been calling me ball sports all week.
Yes.
I tried to convince him. I got a pretty good leg spin on me after 10 years in the change rooms, but... Yeah. No, I don't know if he said, but the person who texted me was Bomber Thompson. He sent me a photo of Holmesy and he said, "Is this bloke your twin brother?"
Oh, yeah.
And I laughed and I said, "Well, yeah, he's, not as tough as I was, but and he's got noodle arms and things like that. But yeah, like there are some similarities. We're both, handsome, athletic young men.
Well, let's hope for Geelong fans' sake that he has the career you had, Cal.
No, he's good. I've got a lot of time for Holmesy. He's a really good kid, good energy, and he's obviously talented. I think people will just really enjoy Holmesy for a long time.
He plays a crucial role in this team when he's up and going.
Yeah, we've missed him.
Yeah.
We really have. Yeah, like someone with his athletic ability, and he's a really smart kid. He learns things super quick. Like you see the improvement in him this year. It's a credit to him. Like he works hard, and people will just enjoy the way he plays. He's going to be good, but hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
No.
I'm sure he doesn't. He wouldn't get caught up on social media.
I'm glad that he is calling you Ball Sports. That makes us very, very happy that we're passing that one on.
It's not getting any traction so far.
Disappointing. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. Keep up the great work. Enjoy the trip to Perth this Saturday, taking on the West Coast Eagles. Good luck for the rest of the year, mate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.